Hey everybody, so today I'm going to share with you a time management and prioritization tactic that I've been using that I think you might find really helpful given the new circumstances and the new normal that we find ourselves in, having to work from home and lacking sort of or having to create a new sense of structure and normalcy being at home all the time. So I found out about this like a long time ago when I used to work from home. I used to use the same method. I've used this method in other companies that I've worked for, and now I've decided to kind of reenact this like method of time management to kind of help me navigate my day to day. One of the biggest things that I've been struggling with over the last couple of weeks is how to manage my time. So everybody's been talking about create a plan, create structure, and create a schedule and this, that, and the other. And I am all on board for that. And I think that's super important. But one of the things that even with a structure has become very difficult is how do I prioritize the things that I need to do? So right now there's like things, I feel like things are kind of coming at me from all directions, like, and I'm thinking that you probably feel similarly, like maybe you have tasks that you need to take care of that are like home related tasks, like cleaning and cooking and taking care of the kids and things like that, taking care of yourself and working out. Now you're also balancing having to do any kind of work from home task, or maybe you're doing professional development, or maybe you're wanting to read more. So all of these things are kind of coming at us from different directions, and because we lack a specific structure and we're having to create a new structure in terms of how to manage all of these things, like it can get really overwhelming sometimes, right? To feel like, oh, I've got all of these things to do, like so many things I could do with my time that I don't even know where to start. So if that's you, I think the tactic that I'm going to go through today, the time management tactic, is something that can really be helpful. So I'm going to go through kind of how to create this on your own. So in order to, one of the biggest things that I think lack of structure can kind of put on us is just not being able to accurately prioritize our time. So when I sit down and it's like, okay, I have a 3-hour block, like how am I going to spend that 3-hour block? Like there's so many different things that I could do now, because, you know, before, if you were working a traditional 9 to 5, like your day was kind of laid out for you. If you were, whatever it is that you were doing for work, like you kind of already had a routine that you were following, and now it's like all of that has kind of been blown up. So how do you structure your time? And when you have free time even to spend on something that you enjoy, maybe it's not even a work task, how do you choose what thing to focus on? So, you know, I've also been thinking about this too, because like I've been getting a lot of emails and a lot of promotional things for like personal development stuff. And now that I have more free time, you know, like there's all these things that I want to do. I want to read more. I want to work out. I want to take this class. I want to do this thing. And so it's like when I have free time, it's like, man, how do I even wrap my head around what I'm going to focus on? So this is a method that I use to kind of help kind of tune out the noise and help me sort of prioritize what I'm going to do. So the first step is to list out everything on your to-do list. So these are bigger tasks, these are smaller tasks, these are reminders for yourself of things that you need to take care of. Like you're going to create a massive to-do list. These are not just work-related things. These can be things like I need to make a grocery list. These could be like I need to order something online. And this is a project that I need to do for work. I need to finish this class, whatever it is. I do recommend that if it's a bigger task that has smaller tasks underneath it, that you separate all of that out into its own task. So don't just put something really big on there like take an online course. Like I want you to separate like, okay, what are the tasks that make up taking that online course, and list those as individual to do. So at the end of step 1, like you'll have a sprawling list, a to-do list. Then what I'd like you to do is create a second column. And I wrote this all out on a sheet of paper, and I'm going to take you through what that looks like visually. But so the first column is going to be all of your to-dos. The second column is you're going to look at that to-do list. And ideally, this is better to be done on Sunday or Monday. But you're going to look at that to-do list and you're going to say, okay, out of that to-do list, what are like five things that I think that I can tackle this week? So obviously, if you have something that has a specific deadline, that's going to get prioritized to this week's to-do list first, because it has to be done this week. It has a due date. You can also throw on things there that don't have a specific due date, but are just specific things that you want to do this week. So add that to this week's list. I would recommend keep it reasonable. Don't add 15 things to your to-do list this week so that you then feel overwhelmed and like you have too much to tackle. Like this is where you get a chance to look at, of all the things Maybe it's something that you want to do, but maybe it's something that you know based off things that you have to do, like you're not going to get around to it, and that's okay. Don't include it in this week's tab. So try to be realistic with the goals and priorities that you're setting for this week. So after you've got your list of things that you're going to do this week, make a third column. The third column is going to be what I'm going to tackle next week. So maybe it's a follow-up task to something I'm doing this week. Maybe it's something that I wanted to do this week that I didn't get around to, so I'm going to add that to next week's list. But you're kind of like pre-planning a whole week out. So this is really good for follow-up tasks. So if I'm taking a class, maybe I read a chapter this week, and then next week I've got to read other chapters or whatever. So that's going to go on the next week. So it could be follow-up tasks, or it can be something that's like, yeah, I'd really like to do this thing this week, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm going to make sure that I get it done next week. That's up to you. So you've got 3 columns now: to-do list, things you're doing this week, things you're doing next week. Now I want you to look at the column for this week. So what am I doing this week? What are my 5 things on this list? Or 5 to 10 things, whatever. You're going to look at this week and you're going to say, okay, for today, so this is the 4th column, is what I'm doing today. You're picking 3 things. So you're picking 3 things that are reasonable for you to do. 3 things might not sound like a lot, but again, the whole point of this whole exercise is to be realistic about what you can do and what you can prioritize. So now I'm going to look at, I'm going to look at my to-do list. I'm going to look at my list for this week, and I'm picking 3 things that I can do today, and I'm adding them to that 4th column. So another thing to keep in mind with the list for this week. So what I like about this, focusing on 3 daily tasks out of my larger to-do list, is you can base it on what you feel like doing. So obviously, if you have a deadline that has to be something that has to be done today, that gets prioritized to the top of my to-do list for today. If I don't, then I'm going to pick what I want to add to that list based off what I feel like doing. Maybe I wake up and I just have the energy to clean the whole house, and that's on my to-do list. So I'm dragging that thing to the today, and then I'm going to get it done with. Maybe some days I wake up and I feel like I want to be on my computer, and I feel like very creative, and I want to do something more high level in brainstorm or something that requires a lot of conceptual thought. Then I'm going to pick tasks for my to-do list that match my mood that day. Maybe one day I wake up and I don't feel like doing anything, and I feel kind of lazy, and I don't really feel like doing any high level thinking, and maybe that's a good time to take care of some more mundane tasks that are on my list, like sending emails or something that's kind of low energy and not really that demanding. So it allows you to kind of dedicate what your to-do list is based off how you're feeling that day. And then you have the 5th column, which is my favorite, which is the done list. So this is as soon as you're done with something, that task gets moved to the done list. So let me show you what this look like if you wrote this out on a pad of paper. So you've got your to-do list here. That's where you list all your tasks. You've got things that you're going to do this week. So that's, items that you're picking from this list and prioritizing for this week, things that you're prioritizing for next week. Here's my daily tasks. So my top 3 things that I'm currently doing, and then my done list. So if you were going to do that on your own on a sheet of paper, that's how I would organize it. You can also do this if you have a whiteboard. You can use a whiteboard. If you have Post-it notes and you want to kind of create tasks on Post-it notes and then move them from one column to the next as you continue to do them, it's oddly satisfying to do that. I'm also going to tell you about a digital solution for this that I use called Trello. They have an app in the App Store that you can download that's totally free. It's also a web app if you want to use it on your computer to help you stay organized for work. You can create the same 5-column system online using their system, which is super easy to use. And like I said, it's free. So anyway, the organizing my to-do list like this, what the benefit of it is for me is when I sit down at my computer in the morning, and I'm trying to structure my day, right? What do I need to do today? What do I need to do to prioritize? Because if I don't do that, my mind's just jumping to 20 different things. Maybe I start answering text messages, and then I start answering emails, and then I get pulled into a meeting, and then I got to think of something else. And while I'm in that meeting, I'm distracted in that meeting because I'm thinking of all the other things that I need to do today, and my mind is just getting kind of flooded. And then I actually have a free moment, and it's I don't even know where to start. So every time I feel like that, I just reference this list, and I'm like, okay, here's the 3 tasks that I set up to do today. I'm going to make sure I do those 3. If I have any time left over, and I can either be done for the day and feel satisfied, or I could go back to the original to-do list and knock off some other little tasks or whatever it is that I feel like tackling. For example, this video was not on my list today, but it was an idea that I had and I chose to prioritize it over other things that I had on my list today because I wanted to share it with you, and I hope that you found it helpful. If you have any questions about this process or something doesn't make sense, then just drop a note in the comments or message me and let me know. I'm happy to walk you through how you can organize your tasks. This is a great way of staying organized, a great way of creating structure, a great way of learning how to prioritize the things that are actually important to get done that day versus the things that just feel important but maybe are not really that stressful or that not important to do for this day. Hopefully this is helpful. Again, reach out if you have any questions, and I hope you have a great day.